I remember writing my first set and I thought, bro, I'm the next Trevor Noah. This is amazing. Wow. Like, I was just, as I say, just 100% delusion in my room. I went to the gig. I died on my ass. Almost no laughs whatsoever. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. There's a lot of sketches out there that have leaned heavily, for instance, on Indian accents, stereotypical, like, this is what my dad sounds like, this is what my mum sounds like. And you see how those sketches are interpreted by non-Desi people. And a lot of the time, they're laughing with you as much as they're laughing at you.
What's up, people? Welcome to this week's episode of the Indie and Doctor podcast. I am Dr. Lust this week. All will be revealed why later, but I am joined by a very, very special guest. He is a comedian. You might know him from a few clips seen online on TikTok about The Apprentice, or starting a new job in the corporate workplace, or his own stand-up clips. Recently, he's also been posting more political skits, which have had me in absolute stitches. He's also performed on The Latest Show with Mo Gilligan, been on tour with Munya Chawawa, and he's also performing on his own tour at the moment. And to round that out on top of it, he's also performed on the BBC One as well. His name is Daman Bamrah. Daman, G'day.
G'day. That was very nice. I'm always gassed to hear intros about myself. I'm like, is that me? You're describing there. Wow. That's nice.
You're like, is that me? Yeah, okay.
That guy sounds better than me. I don't feel like I'm that good. That's nice. That's a very lovely intro. I really appreciate it. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thank you for joining. It's been a long time coming, I'm sure, for us to have you on. But I know you're a busy guy, as I can tell from online and from just a numerous amount of clubs you're hitting up all the time. But I'm very interested in talking to yourself because you're like an up and coming guy that is doing really, really well. And I just want to talk to another Singh who is in the comedian space because there's not many, I'll be honest. And the fact that you're doing it is something that I really want to understand. So take me through it, man. First of all, how did you get into comedy? And what was your job, Bedla? And are you still mixing the two together? I guess that's three questions.
Yeah, dude. So like, okay. The comedy isn't like something that, some people, they've like dreamed of being comedians from a young age. And I don't know, because we're Desi, we didn't have access to those dreams. Do you know what I mean? I never thought this would be something I was going to get into. So for me, what happened was I flopped my A levels, sick one, Daman, good one, and I had to retake the year. I had to retake the year, and so I had a little gap year. And in the gap year, my cousin from Canada came over and he said, "Can you give me a tour of London?" And I was like, "Yeah, go on then." So I took him to the Houses of Parliament, took him to the London Eye. I said, "Jol, they're clear. That's all there is to London, mate." And he was like, "Are you?" He was like, "Are you joking, bruv? Like, that was the shittest tour I've ever had in my life. I'm going to take you on a tour of London." I was like, "All right then, big man. Let's see what you got." So the next day, it's a Wednesday, and it's improv night at the Comedy Store, and he's booked us tickets. Yeah. So I went along. I had no idea what this was, what improv was, anything like that. And I went, and it was the funniest thing I had ever seen. I couldn't believe that these guys were making sketches up on the spot, on stage. I thought it was unbelievable. And so it just gripped me massively that night. So yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And then a few months later, I get to university in Sheffield, and there's all these societies that you have to join, right? To like try and make friends and all of that at the start. So I saw there was an improv comedy society, and I was like, yo, that's what I saw in my gap year. That stuff was really good. My friends think I'm funny. Why not? Let me just jump in. I had that little delusion, which you need. You need a little bit. You need 10% delusion. Obviously, everyone's friends think they're funny. That's why they're friends. But luckily, I didn't have the smarts to think of that. So yeah, I went along to this improv night, and it hooked me, man. It was so good. I loved it. I just loved doing it so much. And I probably ended up focusing on it more than I did my degree at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? It's like the 3 years was spent doing improv, and I've got that exam. I did an economics degree. Yeah, exactly. So,
Wow.
yeah, so I just sort of ended up doing that more. But then I was so in love with the idea of doing improv. When I moved back to London, I was trying to pursue improv, but the scene was very different. I found it quite difficult to get into, but I didn't want to lose comedy, you know? And, so in 2018, I finally decided, okay, if I want to carry on doing comedy, especially more longer term and maybe as a career, you've got to write or you've got to do stand up. So let me just try doing some stand up. I remember writing my first set and I thought, bro, I'm the next Trevor Noah. This is amazing. Wow. Like I was just, as I say, just 100% delusion in my room. I went to the gig. I died on my ass. Almost no laughs whatsoever. And I was like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe I should stick to improv. But then luckily, because I'd been a big mouth about it, and my parents were a bit like, yo, I thought you said you were going to try this. So when's the next gig? What are you doing? And I was like, yeah, okay, fine. I guess I'll book another one in. And then my fourth ever gig, basically, when you're starting out in comedy, you have to do bringer gigs. Bringer gigs mean you have to bring somebody with you in order to perform, because that's how they make up their audience. In London, you can see pro comedy kind of cheap, like a lot, through the week. So no one has the incentive to go to open mic comedy. So you got to bring someone. And my friend dropped out last minute. And so I had to take my dad with me as my bringer to this gig. And I was like, oh dear God, I don't want my dad to see this, but it's not,
man.
I've been dying the whole, like the last 3 gigs. They were like spaced over like 8 months, these last 3 gigs, because I just couldn't bring myself to do another one because they were just going so bad. And I just kept rewriting. And then this fourth gig was the first one that like went really, really well. And it was in front of my dad. And I was like, yo, thank God. Thank God this has gone well. But it just felt so good, man. It felt good having that work pay off for the first time at a gig. And ever since I've been hooked. So yeah. Sorry, that was a very long-winded story, but
I like it. That's cool. I've got a couple of things to ask. So most people, when they go to uni, they're like, yeah, let me go to like Punjabi Soc, let me go to Sikh Soc, let me maybe go do like some MMA. And you thought, no, I want to go do improv.
I want to go do improv, bro.
Left field thing. I would not put that together, honestly. If you gave me a list of 100 things, I'd be like, nah, he ain't going for that. He's going for these ones. Yeah.
He's going for these ones. Well, I was the president of Sikh Soc at one point. So I did do that.
Wow, so you were doing that and improv, mate.
And improv, yeah. It's mad that I got voted in. It's mad that I got the authority somehow. This joker is going to be the president of the Sikh Soc. To be fair, like, our Sikh Soc was so chill though, man. Like, it was nice. I don't know, was your Sikh Soc quite chill? Like, our one was like 1 week, 1 week a talk on Sikhi, the next week laser tag and Wagamama. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, nice. That's actually a good balance. I like that.
Yeah.
Mine was at Queen Mary, which was at London, and ours was more. There was a bit of this going on everywhere, where a lot of people were butting heads. So you had a Hindu soc, you had a Islamic soc, you had a Sikh soc, and you also had a Punjabi soc. Now that Punjabi soc turned into a Bhangra society, but that Bhangra society was then hiring people for their Bhangra team. So that was more like, go and do your meat and sharab over there. Yeah. This is Jan's Mossa. That was like the literal distinctions between the two. That's it. There was like, this is where the serious gala happens. But somehow, even I made it onto the committee of Sikh Soc in like second year. I think I was like head of external affairs, which means head of nothing. So there you go. I was just pissing around, having a good time.
Head of external affairs. Yeah. Head of external affairs. That sounds like you were in office for Queen Mary Sikh Soc. That's mad. What could they possibly want a 19-year-old to do as head of external affairs at a Sikh society?
Listen,
that's mad.
I'm going to go out there and I'm going to make sure that we are represented with other Sikh Socs. That's the external affairs.
That's where we have our most difficulty in communication, other Sikh Socs. We need a guy. We need a guy to liaise.
Yeah.
Wow, that's mad.
You need the guy from Birmingham who knows no one in London to go and liaise for us. That was me. So I did nothing, man, all year. I was just pissing around. And that year in second year, I was doing the Bhangra team as well. And that's where I met my now wife. So
Oh, wow.
that's how
Oh,
we
amazing.
met as well, which is a nice little story. Yeah. So that was cool. And Sikh Soc for us was like, it was getting a bit too serious for my liking. I'm not massively religious, but I know enough. And the pathway it was kind of going down wasn't really for me. It was like either it was very, very religious or there was no middle part. So I thought I can't really contribute to this in a way that I feel like is going to be good for me. So I kind of backed away a little bit. And then third year, I just knocked it on the head and just stuck to Bhangra instead. But that was, a little whistle stop tour for me. But then when you took your dad along to go to the actual improv night, I couldn't think of anyone worse I'd want to take. I'd rather take my mum because at least she'll hug me after, or she'll be like, it's okay, but there's no problems. You bombed. It's fine. Don't worry. Like, I'll go home. I'll make you some protein. Everything will be good. Yeah. Dad will just look at you like, is that meant to be funny?
Yeah, well, in my family, my dad is quite like, my dad is the stereotypical dad jokes dad, he's quite like a jolly guy.
Nice.
And, he's just really easygoing. So he's the kind of dad like, everyone's got a parent they're scared of. A lot of the time it's the dad. For me, mum was scarier. Ooh. Not that they were, massively scary, but dad was the kind of cool, like, I can tell dad he won't slap me. Do you know what I mean? So, so dad was like, yeah, come, let's go. I mean, but dad's the kind of guy, he'll be laughing his head off, and afterwards you'll be like, oh, so you like that, yeah? And he'll be like, yeah, man, like, I didn't really get what you were saying, but like, you were making some funny faces, bro. It was nice. He's the kind of dad who like, when he laughs, he laughs and he doesn't blink. He stares at you in your eyes until you laugh. He like presses you into laughing. He's like, and you're like, oh, okay. All right, dad. But like, yeah, man. So I've got my, so I always say I've got a mix of, my parents' sense of humor. Because my dad, he's just going for it all the time. Whereas my mum, she has more like, clever, sarcastic, witty comments. So, but
that's a good combo to have across both parents, like one sarcastic and one very open and extroverted. That's a good combination for you, I feel. I wonder who you told when you flopped your A-levels, though. Who did you tell first?
Oh, bro. Well, my mum got home first, so she found out first. That was rough. That was a rough day. I don't know, man. I don't know. You like flop your exams and you cry. You go, I know it. Now I know I should have taken it seriously. I'm sorry, mum. And then like you proceed to do the same thing for the next round of exams, and it's like I don't know what to tell you, mum. I'm just not into it. But yeah, it's just annoying because like I feel like again, it always comes back to my parents. My mum was very like. Because I was like, I felt like when I was very young, I was doing pretty well. You know what I mean? When it came to year 2, don't worry about it. Daman's got it. But then when it came,
he got those sums on lock, baby.
No one can touch me when it comes to year 2. Okay, it's I was smashing it at top of the year. But yeah, so then I get to high school. I swear this happens, right? My school do these exams called the CATS exams, which are like, I guess, similar to the UK CATS later on, but like obviously a much easier version for year 7s. And because they wanted to, they're like, verbal reasoning tests and such to figure out where to place you in the year, what sets to place you. And I ended up doing really decently in some of them. And I got called in to school with dad, and school wanted to have a little chat to say that I'd done well. And I remember after that meeting, dad pulled me to the side. He was like, listen, man, right now you're hitting above 90%. Okay. Let me tell you why that's not good. If you keep doing this well, what are we going to talk about at parents' evening? We need some room for improvement. So if you could tone it down to about 80%, that would be really good, because then you're doing good, but then you can still improve. There's not too much pressure on you. And I was like 12 years old, and my dad's like, yeah, you're doing great. In fact, just chill. Just don't even worry about it. And I really internalized that. And I don't think Yeah, why would I not though? You know what I mean? Like, I had no,
You were living. You
I
were
had no
living off
critical
that
thinking
credit
ability.
for like 10 years. You were like,
Yeah.
yeah, but Dad, remember that chat we had when I was 11 and you said, just take your foot off the gas? I've been taking my
Yeah.
foot off the gas since. I don't even know where the pedal is anymore, Dad.
I don't know, Dad. Yeah, Dad. We're gonna need to start again. We're gonna need to resume at year 2 again because
Yeah.
take me back to my peak, bruv. Take me back to my peak, and we'll go from there. So I just had internalized this attitude of like, I don't need to work. Like, I'm fine. I'm naturally doing okay. So it's, how bad can it be? And it turns out, yeah, you really bad. You need to study. You need to study. But you know, it's all good. I have realized that now that I'm 30. So it's
Oh, you're
it's
30.
all good.
Okay,
It's
all
all
right.
good.
You're younger than me, man. Fair play.
Yeah. Yeah. You're a young looking guy, man. You remind me a lot of one of my friends. What are we saying? 32?
31, 32
31?
in 2 months' time. That's what we're saying. Yeah, man.
My guy, looking good, man. Looking good, looking fresh,
Appreciate
looking
that.
sharp.
Appreciate it.
I'm trying to. Yeah, this is a sharp look you've got going on, man. I'm trying to figure
Thank
out
you,
what
bro.
my one
Thank
is.
you. I gotta ask you then. Hang on. So you've gone through this process of trying to get into the range of comedians and trying to go into that land. When you meet your missus, are you doing this full time? Are you trying to?
Oh yes.
Meet her on that level as well.
Well, I was doing it seriously, but I wasn't doing it full time. So, you know, you said you met your missus in Bangla Society. I met my missus in Sikh Soc as well.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, man. So very similar there. So essentially, it was my second year and it was her first year. And the president had organized somebody to come and deliver a talk. And we're waiting. And all these new first years have come in and no one's showing up. And the president calls me outside. Can I talk to you outside them? And I was like, yeah, what's going on? And she was like, listen, so like we just spoke to the guy who's meant to come here and he's got the month mixed up. So he's not coming. We don't have anything going on then. We've got no plans moving forward for this session. Can you please just take this session? And I was like, what do you mean take this session? Like, I'm not no expert on Sikhi, do you know what I mean? I would say I'm similar to you. Like, I look way more religious than I am. Like, I'm trying, but you know.
I've got it.
Yeah.
You walk into that room and you say, who here believes in the caste system? That's it. That's the go-to conversation point when you're out of ideas. You're like, that's mental. Who believes in the caste system? Yeah, that's right. None of you. Yeah. You're like, shit. Okay, now what do I do? What's the next thing? All right, I'm out of ideas now. That's it. You've lost the room. You've lost the room.
You've lost the room. Exactly. They were like, you do improv, you can do this. And I was like, I don't know what you think improv is, but it's certainly not the ability to take on a serious Sikh society talk. But all right then. So I went in and I was like, all right, guys, listen, this is the situation. The guy's not coming. So we've got two options. Either we can do this talk about morality and Sikhi, we can divide the room into two halves and debate, or we can go to Wagamama. What do you want? And 10 minutes later, of course, we're in Wagamama's. And and Jazz, my wife, she's like, yo, are you the president? Have you guys got a grasp on what's going on here? And I was like, hey, this was not me. And so she starts giving me a hard time, and she's been giving me a hard time ever since. That's how that one went down. Yeah. Absolutely mad.
That's great. That's a very nice story. So when you told her parents your occupation / day job / ambitions, what was their reaction? This is more like me and Garan have a segment where we talk about confessions of a married man. And I feel like you're the married man that I can talk to about problems. So lay it on, dude. Man. Tell me how that went.
Big time. Sorry, I realized I didn't even answer your previous question properly. So when Jaspreet met me, she knew I was big into improv. Like she had spotted me before. She'd seen me at Sikh Society doing this mad gig outside the Students' Union where I was pretending to be an ironing board. And she was like, all right, avoid that guy. Yeah, we were in a scene, you know. We were in an improv scene.
Ironing board?
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yep. I was That's where improv, you don't know where it's going to take you, man. Sometimes the scene requires you to be an ironing board. So I was an ironing board. And yeah, she was just like, I don't know who that guy is, but avoid. And so that was the first time she ever saw me. So she knew what she was getting into, is what I'm saying. And so so throughout like, you know, my various jobs and such, yeah, I've been going for comedy the whole time, and obviously, like, you know, recently I've been full time with it, which is super cool. But yeah, she's known what the deal was from the start, so she's been really supportive. So I've been very lucky to have supportive parents, supportive in-laws when it comes to the pursuit of comedy. I think the main thing for everyone was just like, don't quit everything and do comedy straight away. Like, we need you to also, like, you know, sustain yourself and sustain the family. So, you know, I
Pay
was
the bills.
Pay the bills, bruv. Don't just go and practice being an ironing board all day. You need to put some roti on the table. That's it, bruv. And so, yeah, so that was my deal. I was like, okay, I will do what it takes to make it work. So initially, when I graduated, I worked at the Apple store, because I thought, okay, good part-time job. It'll allow me to pursue comedy. But the truth is, when you're working in retail, like, you know, the hours are just all over the place, and you need structure in your life to pursue anything. Especially with comedy, you know, it's always going on in the evening. You need to be free in the evenings to go and do your spots. So yeah, so I did that for a couple of years, trying to make it work with improv, and it just wasn't working. And by that point, I was sort of like, well, I don't know if improv is the route for me. I think I need to try stand up. So then I switched to a job in marketing for TV, that actually, you know, I utilized my degree. I was like, God, I need to be on a career path, man. Like, I can't just keep doing this. So I did that, and when I started that, I also started comedy, and I didn't quit that until I was paying the bills with comedy. So the transition was like relatively smooth, but obviously, you know, it takes time for you to be able to build up to a level where that's possible. So that was the main thing I had to achieve. But everyone's been so cool about it, and really everyone's just like, I think, you know, it's just been cool that people in my family are just like, they find it cool, you know, they like it. It's very different to anything run of the mill, obviously, and yeah, they've been really, really supportive from the get go, man. And it's lucky because obviously there was always a good chance that wasn't going to happen, because again, I talk about this in my show, in our communities, we don't talk about this. We don't, you know, even if you see somebody Desi on TV, you still don't think, I don't know about you, man, I didn't watch Goodness Gracious Me and think, yeah, that could be me. I still was like, yeah, that's good for them, but I don't, no, you know, it didn't even cross my mind that it could be me. I was like, this is a nice show, but, you know, back to economics tomorrow. So
yeah, I see that.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's been a lucky process to even have the realization that I can do this, I can pursue this, and I love pursuing it. It's like an alignment of circumstance to get here. So
There's a big difference, isn't it, between doing this yourself and then actually seeing what's possible, because you don't know what's possible until you're literally out there just trying it, and there's no blueprint for you to follow. Similar with us running like a brown podcast, there's no real blueprint of like a big brown podcast right now. It's just, all right, what do you want to talk about? Random shit. And then you do random shit for like a while, and then you kind of stumble upon something that fits you, and then you're thinking, okay, this is nice, but then you kind of want to grow with it as well and not just stay in that lane. Because Goodness Gracious Me was cool, but I knew that it was going to have a bit of a shelf life. Looking back on it now, you think it's a really cool series, but they can't do like a 10 series run of that. It's going to be one or two, and then it's probably going to be like, okay, this has had its shelf life, now it's done. And the jokes in there are timeless, and I still love it, and I go back and I still laugh just as hard. I've got no problems with it. The interesting factor is the shelf life and the growth of the show, or the growth of that content over time, has that evolved and changed? And how do we make sure that we grow with it in the right way, so it's not just being, like really stereotypical or really hacky, I guess is the word. I don't know the English word for hacky, but that's what American comedians say. So that's the closest thing.
That's what we say as well, man. Yeah. Don't want it to be hack. Yeah, man, exactly. Because like you're totally right. Like it was amazing and I still love it too, but comedy has to evolve. And also, the notion of once something has been said, you don't need to keep saying the same thing. Like, there's a lot of sketches out there, that have like leaned heavily, for instance, on Indian accents and, stereotypical, like, this is what my dad sounds like, this is what my mum sounds like. And, for me, when I love watching those sketches, but then you see how those sketches are interpreted by non-Desi people, and a lot of the time they're laughing with you as much as they're laughing at you, if that makes sense. Like I remember distinctly one day I was at one of my friends, I was at this like house party, and I was telling this joke, and I was impersonating my mum or my dad, and so I did this joke, I did this voice, and everybody laughed. And there was this Australian guy who's like, "Oh man, do the voice again, the quickie mad voice." And I was like, "What?" He was like, the corner shop voice, the quickie mad voice. Do it again, it's so good. And I was like, "Yo, oh, that's why you're laughing at this." It was like a real like, "Oh, right." Do you know what I mean? It was a wake up moment where I was like, okay, not everybody laughs at this in the same way that I thought they were laughing at it. So comedy has to reflect what you think, what you feel. And so I think that sketches like that have evolved in a really great way. I just don't feel like I'm going to be the person who carries on that particular format, because say Russell Peters, for example. Russell Peters, he's done some amazing stand-up, so good. And then you saw it with YouTubers, Just Rain, aka Amazing, Superwoman, and they all come in with very similar concepts of like, this is my dad, this is my mum, this is what they sound like. And I just thought, okay, well, cool. Well, then that's done for me. That's done. I'm like, I think the way a lot of those guys did it was good, and I don't see what I can add to this. But I certainly don't want people laughing at this accent. So I need to figure out how to say my stories, but not have people laugh at us, have people laugh with us,
It's tough to draw that line, isn't it? Because you genuinely don't know until someone says something obtuse, like do the quickie mark voice, and you're thinking, ooh, that's not what I'm here for. And I do think that with even the stuff that me and Doctor talk about, we don't make it focus solely on taking the piss out of the Desi content. This is what we see as an observation. This is what it is. Then we kind of ask, why do we do that? Or why is that there? It's more like a bit of an understanding than an actual, let's just point and laugh. So there's kind of a bit of a middle point in there where we look within ourselves, but also look at what other people do and kind of draw some parallels between it, which is a nicer way of doing it than just running through the same sketches. A lot of content creators now out there that are brand and up and coming, they're all doing just the one step a bit further off what Just Rain or AK has done. So I'll watch it and I'll think, this is a straight AK sketch. But then I'll watch it for the next 10 seconds and they've taken it to the other extreme of it. And I'm thinking, oh, I see what you've done. Now it's different. But then is it different for the right reasons? Not different because you're just trying to be different. And it's hard to draw that distinction really clearly.
Absolutely, man. And context is everything, right? Like, so you guys, for instance, you're doing this sort of a brown married men podcast, and it's different for us to like impersonate our parents and such within our own spaces, because like our target audience is us. In a context, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to speak for you, but to my understanding, with a lot of these spaces, we're talking to somebody with a shared life experience. So when I do this voice, there's no thoughts going through anyone's head like, oh, what a silly voice. It's more like, yeah, that's what my dad does. Yeah, that's what my mum does.
Yeah.
And so you connect you're bridging those gaps within the community, and that's a big part of the humor within the community. So that's contextually so different to doing any of those things in a comedy club where anyone could be there. It's going to be an international mix of people, and you don't understand, where they've come from, but you can assume they've come from a diverse mix of places, and they come from diverse backgrounds, and so you have to stop and pause and be like, how does somebody perceive me, and how can I bring some surprise, some incongruity into their lives when they look at me, because they make all these assumptions about me as soon as they see me. So how am I now flipping it on its head for them?
Because I've seen a few clips of you online with you on YouTube, and the one you did at Mo Gilligan as well, where you open up with the Irish accent. I'm thinking, that's nice, that's different, because I'm thinking, huh? Even I think this. And then afterwards you come out and you drop it and you split it and you're like, okay, this is what I'm really like. And I'm thinking, that's nice. I've not seen someone do that. So I see the concept you're going for. That's quite different. We don't tend to do other accents beyond our own, unless you're Russell Peters and you're doing the Chinese accent that he was doing, which is again ahead of its time, because he was doing that one video everyone's seen of him in that white shirt and the blue band and the white trainers. And I'm just thinking that went around so many people's houses and DVDs and flipping memory sticks. But that was iconic. And seeing him go from that to the jokes he tells now, it's not the same. He's genuinely evolved over the past, 20 odd years he's done it, from telling those kind of jokes to more older, mature, I guess, being in line with his age jokes, which is different. And that must be hard to do, because you're getting away from really familiar material.
That's it. And the zeitgeist changes. It's changed so much over the last 10 to 15 years, what people laugh at, what people feel like it's okay to laugh at, and you just got to move with it, right? Either you've got to move with it, or you've got to have such diehard fans that, you're going to do the same thing over and over again, and that's all they want from you, and that's all you want to do. And you're going to be subject to scrutiny, but you don't care because you've got your fan base. So it's one or the other. And personally, I'm like, I'd rather let's move with the times, man. Because what's the point? I don't want to be one of these old men who's like, oh, you can't even laugh at this anymore. It's a really social thing to laugh, right? That's what it is. It's like in a comedy club, that's why it's important for them to be dark, to have low ceilings, to have everybody sat together, because whatever a comic says, if it makes you laugh, you got to feel comfortable to laugh, because if everything is well lit and you feel like the spotlight is on you, you're like, if I laugh at this, is it okay? Everyone's going to look at me. Everyone's going to see me laugh at this. Is that okay? Am I okay to laugh at this? Because you're saying subconsciously that, you relate to something in what's been said. You might not agree, but you might, it might have, but it tickles you for some reason. So laughter is an indication of something inside you. And so that's why it's so, that's why it's so ubiquitous, man. And that's why people resonate with it so much, but also why it causes so much controversy when you look at it the other way.
What I notice about just comedy and humor is, even in the workplace, when you're in a place where everyone is very formal, very uptight, everyone's very worried about the thing they're saying. And then when you go out for a drink with them and everyone loosens up, I don't drink very often at all. I used to, but now I've stopped pretty much completely. But when I go out and I see people's humor flip, and I'm thinking, oh, this is the real you. This is what you find funny. And a lot of the time, it's very dark humor. And I'm thinking, well, there's still this real big underbelly that everyone has, and this want for dark humor that still exists. Just because our society is kind of championing, like, oh, let's be progressive and let's be nice to each other, doesn't mean you can't also push the boundaries. So I've noticed that, especially during COVID and lockdown, people were pushing boundaries really well. Munya is one, Andrew Schultz, he was big another. Time. They were all doing their little clips online. And I've watched them and think, you're doing this to a T very, very well. And you're keeping everybody, you're giving them hope that people aren't being silenced or kind of what's the word, self-censoring your own material. You're still pushing as much as you can, and we're still accepting the fact that you're pushing that much.
Big time, man. And like, boundaries need to be pushed for humor. You know what I mean? Like, I think, you know, especially when you're looking at satire and such, like, you have to be saying something. I don't know. You don't have to be. I think that's okay. I don't know if that's right to say either, but you know, I think people have different senses of humor. Obviously, some people, they will just absolutely love, let's say, you know, observational humor about the day-to-day intricacies of life. And that's fine. And that's great. If that's what gets you going, fantastic. You know, but then there's like different types of humor. Like you say, there's dark humor, there's satire, and humor is a good way to push the grain, to spark a conversation, to punch up at the liberal elite, the elite in society, who they, you know, they have this like overt control over society, and humor is a good way to like plant a thought maybe in somebody's head, or a perspective they might not have considered or seen before. Because a lot of people, they get angry with dark jokes, or they get angry with satire, like, oh, how dare you say this about politicians, how dare you say this about white people, da, da, da. And I'm like, don't worry, those guys still got all the power. We're just making jokes. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to have a conversation with you guys, but they can change a law. They can buy a thing that I can't. You know what I mean? Like, societally and hierarchically, obviously, it's, you know, it's not all white people. It's not. I don't want to make such a blanket statement, but it just, you know, in terms of Western society, there is a hierarchy, and you know, you've got to. It's classist as well. It's not just race. It's not just race based. But yeah, you've got to be able to sort of have these conversations. But then when you're talking about the workplace and such, it goes back to context again, right? You know, or at least you hope that other people know that you're a good, well-intentioned person. So when you make a dark joke, people aren't like, oh my God, does he really think that? You know? And that's why when you're with your closest friends, you can make the most darkest, ridiculous jokes, because your best mates know that you're not this awful person, but you're just trying to make them laugh. So, whereas you couldn't do that. You couldn't do that with strangers, because they're like, sorry, who are you and why are you saying that? You get what I'm saying? And that's why somebody like Jimmy Carr can get away with saying really, really dark shit, because people have this, he's got like a reputation. He's a comedian. People know that about him. They're familiar with him. So there's this implicit, Jimmy Carr can do this because that's his place in society. You know what I mean? I mean, obviously there's going to be controversies no matter what, but you know, and regardless of what you think of it, that's sort of kind of why it works. You know what I mean? So that's why it's
incredibly tough to be a comedian, and also to let, how do I say this, to kind of build up a quick level of understanding between yourself and the audience that you're not being offensive, but you also get them to laugh and be dark within the space of minutes. That level of understanding that builds between people takes years to build. You're given the objective of building that in seconds, to therefore allow yourself to bring them on board and stay with you, so you're not losing the room. And I always try and sit and watch comedians as they do it, and I think you can really fuck this up, or you can really do it well. And obviously it comes with time. And 9 times out of 10, I don't see the ones that fuck up, because they're not in the venues that I go to. They must have perfected it already. But it's so difficult to kind of build that conversation up. And one clip out of context, everything sounds bad, no matter what it is. You hear about Dave Chappelle being drawn up on his trans jokes. And I'm thinking, but when you watch the whole show, it's not about that. And the way that he frames it was an hour-long build up to a conversation point that he'd been hinting towards slowly. And that needs to be woven in, but that doesn't make for a good headline, right? So it's all really interesting how something can be taken out of context so quickly. But when you build that conversation and relationship with an audience, that's something that's unbreakable. And you can't take that. You can take it outside the room, but you can't understand it unless you're in the room there seeing it.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%, man. Comedy is such it's somebody told me how hard this was. So I might have might have taken my GCSEs more seriously. But it's like it's a problem solving exercise. You're totally right, man. Like it's a very you've got to build this trust with people, and you've got to do it quickly. Yeah, and it's not minutes, it's if anything, it's seconds, it's milliseconds online. People are making a decision about you based off your first 2-3 words that come out your mouth. So how effective can you make those words? How funny can you make those words? And how funny can you make your whole, it's not just the words, but it's your whole vibe, your persona, your physicality. It's everything. So yeah, that's what I love about stand-up, is that it's a constant challenge. There's no completing stand-up. You know what I mean? Like there's always something more to achieve, a high level to get to. And I love it.
Good stuff, man. I've got a few things for you that are like Desi related. So just bear with me, yeah? When you're going to a party of some sort and someone asks you, what do you do for a job? You're like, I'm a comedian. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
If you tell an old person I'm a doctor, they're like, oh, doctor, I've got this problem with my knee, my wrist hurts, my back hurts. Do you get anything along the same conversation lines with you? Or do people say, you're a comedian, can you do X, Y, and Z?
Yeah, you're a comedian. Tell me a joke then. That's the one that happens all the time. You're a comedian. Tell me a joke.
Fuck's sake.
Yeah, I'll just tell them I don't do that for free anymore.
That's a good clapback. I like that.
Yeah. You've got to have a little. Otherwise, I'm like, okay, let me read a penguin joke for you. Jokes don't work. They don't work like that. I can't just. All right then. Here we go. Here's 3 I've got in my back pocket. Maybe if you're a one-liner comedian, you could, but even still, it's a bit weird to be like, dance for me. It's like the same thing. You're a comedian. Go on then. Chop chop. Like, so it's
absurd.
Yeah, it's absurd. It's absurd. I get why people. I mean, I get why it's interesting, but I think people like to. It's always their first point of banter. Oh yeah, go on then. Tell me a joke. Let me see if you're actually funny. Go on then. And so you're like, okay, this has happened so many times. I need a response.
We get the same thing. Me and Doctor, both of us being Bhangra dancers. When people find out that you dance, they're like, go on then. And I'm like, I'm not going to lie. I don't want to. I want to just enjoy my evening and just be left alone a little bit. And also, it's not my fucking wedding. I'm here supporting my mum and dad. It's their friend's wedding. They don't know who I am. So if I'm this random guy doing next level moves, they're going to be thinking, hang on, who's this flipping doctor who's taking who's taking my thunder on my wedding day? What are you doing? Right?
Imagine.
No, I'm not doing that.
That's so funny.
Yeah.
Clap along
just sit there
quietly.
and clap on the sides, man. That's it.
Imagine if you were so arrogant enough to be like, everyone clear the dance floor. Man, here I am, bruv. Here I am. Wait, somebody play Diljit. Here we go. Like,
Yes, let's go. You better put on Patiala peg and then punch Tara afterwards, and then watch how this goes down. I want 140 BPM. DJ, do it. Yeah.
Here's a time code sheet, bruv. Ajo, here you go. Yeah, let's make it happen. Yeah, you just can't. It's an unreasonable request. Yeah, I used to have it. Funny enough, yeah, people will do it for anything. When I worked at the Apple Store, you work at the Apple Store, bruv, my headphone jack's not working. Like, it's like people would just straight away be like, right, how do I apply my problems to your solutions? It's like such a weirdly natural thing, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it is in that way for sure.
Yeah.
How many people have butchered your full name over time?
Oh, all the time. Still happens all the time. I once did a gig where somebody was like, "Oh man, if I try to say this guy's name, I'm just gonna fuck it up. So anyway, welcome the next guy." And I was like, "Sick, man."
Oh fuck yeah!
That makes me look great, doesn't it? And now I've got to stand here for 20 minutes and be like, "All right, well, here's my attempt to build some authority after it's been after it's been taken down royally after that. So it happens. God, it happens. So I mean, not just in comedy, but in life in general. And
oh yeah.
yeah, do you know what? Yeah, so much. But that's why that's what the name of my show is based on. Because MCs a lot of the time they don't know how to say my name, so I say it's Daman Bamrah, like Salmon Camera. So I call my show Salmon Camera.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Smart.
But then, yeah, it's and that's the thing. I have this sort of anglicized version of my name, Daman Bamrah, rather than Daman Bamrah, because nobody can say that for some reason. And also,
it's true. Yeah,
nobody can say it. But also, like, again, I touched on this in my show. I have grown up being Daman Bamrah, but I've also been Daman Bamrah. So both of them are actually synonymous with who I am. I'm not going to pretend like they're not. So, I would accept either or, but try and get the one that I say correct if you can, That's because I don't think it's hard.
You know what?
A lot of the time I'm like, there's no tricks, bruv. There's no tricks. Yeah. Try it. Practice it. It's like Salmon Camera. People are, oh God, now I'm going to say Salmon Camera. I'm like, oh, why? It's not hard. So
what would hurt is if it was another Desi that couldn't say your name on stage. And then they say, oh, he said Salmon Camera, Salman Khan, right? And I'm like, yo, relax, man. People are about to be very, very upset, okay?
Trust me, bruv, exactly. When I rip my shirt off, you're going to cry. So it's not going to be nice, guys. Come on. Yeah, have you had this? Like, you must, in a professional setting, you must, because your full first name is what? Indavid, right?
Indavid, yeah. The first name is Indavid. So I grew up in Berms, so I had Indavir. That was a common one.
Indavir.
I had Indaver because they couldn't say my name. I had someone just call me Inda a couple of times. I was like, there's another syllable that follows on. There's two syllables that follow on, but okay, all right, that's cool. Yeah, man. And then because my name's Indy, I got a little bit lucky, I guess. I said this to my wife last night. I was like, I used to get called Indiana Jones. And she said, that's a fucking win. I said, yeah, I guess so. I mean, I never really liked the films, but cool. I guess it's all right, I guess. Could be much worse.
Oh, yeah. No, for sure, man. For sure. People get bare confused, bro. I once got a Christmas card in high school. My full first name, Darnpeep. Card addressed to Darnpeep. Darnpeep.
Did they just give up?
And I was like, hey, like, we've known each other for 3 years. And she was like, it's a thought that counts. Well, is it? We've known each other for 3 years, and you think my name is Darnpeep? Come on.
You couldn't have just gone to the register and just looked at the name and just fucking wrote it down.
They say it every day.
Like, we're in the same class.
Several times a day.
Okay.
Yeah. We sit across from each other.
They struggle with it several times a day. Maybe she picked up on the struggling enunciation.
Yeah, man. It's a madness.
I'm sure people must have tried to take the piss out of your name, like Dunman, and they're like, oh, you think you're the man, yeah? And I'm like, oh, okay.
Yeah. People are always like, you the man. And I'm like, okay. I'm sure you think. I'm sure you think you just thought of that. I'm sure you think you're the first person to say that. You're about the 50,000th person to say that. So it's it's but at least that again, it's like your Indiana Jones thing. You the man is actually like all things considered, it's a compliment. So you're like, all right,
it could be worse, man.
Could be worse, bruv.
I've seen some tragic names, man. Russell Peters has spoken about it. Many others. I mean, Suck Deep, Mandy. I'm like, come on, man. Like, you've seen it bad. I'm like, yeah. People have had those. Those names are finished in the next generation. I'm telling you, no one's subjecting their kids to that in the Anglo-Saxon world. Okay,
it's mad, bruv. Yeah, Madhuri Dixit, bruv. R.I.P. to that surname as well, dude. Geez. Yeah, man. That's a rough one to sell. That's a rough one.
Yeah. Memorable, though.
Props.
So,
memorable, very memorable. Yeah.
Have you ever been typecasted as a singer or anything on stage, or like been asked for certain roles that are just sing specific? And how does that kind of feel for you as a comedian?
Yeah. What's interesting is like, when with my agents, I've been very, very, very lucky. They've been so great. And from the start, I said to them, I'm not doing anything like that, anything where they typecast you. So anything that's overtly typecasted, just don't send it me. And so there's a lot of stuff that does come through to them, but they just don't send it to me because they know that I'm not on it. This problem's going to continue in the industry for a while, but it's up to it's up to people where they can, like my agents, for example, are good at being like, no, he's not going to do that. He doesn't want to do it. He's not going to do it. So yeah, I've been lucky to avoid it, but I find it amazing just how much we've like talked about this as a community and how much it continues to happen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's mad. I mean, yeah, I think I heard Riz Ahmed in a podcast one time saying that there's like 3 levels to like how you can act. I'm going to butcher this, but like the first level is like the stereotypes. The second level is that you're not stereotyped, but your ethnicity does have something to do with your character. And then the final level is like, you're just a guy. Your ethnicity doesn't matter. You're just a character, And
he broke through all 3 of those, in fairness. I mean, on Rogue One, fucking made it.
Dude, massively, man. Or Nightcrawler, or do you know what I mean? And like so he was part of the second level for 4 Lions, but 4 Lions was an amazing film. It wasn't just some.
But that's a cult classic, so I feel like he probably saw the script and thought, this is something I want to be a part of.
Dude, yeah, totally, man. So yeah, there's so many levels to it, and we can get there. It's just I feel like the big shock when people see me is like it feels like they see Indian 2.0. Do you know what I mean? They go, oh yeah, we've seen brown people before, but that guy's super Indian. Look at his turban, And so now they're back to like thinking about all these stereotypes. And so now for me, it's my job to be like, yo, I'm just another guy too, bruv. Think about me the next time you're thinking about Riz Ahmed, let's get this show off the road. I could be in Star Wars, bro. Yeah, man. Yeah, it's an interesting landscape
for sure. How do you deal with trolls online? This is something that me and Doctor are starting to deal with now because we're starting to get hate comments from your own people, lovely shit posts everywhere, and believing in your material and the fact that it is legit and you're happy with it, regardless of what the public perception is online.
Yeah,
I think for you, there's an instant feedback of like a room which can tell you something, and then the clip is obviously secondary, for example. But how do you deal with that?
Dude, like, I think at first I used to be like, one negative comment could drown out like 1,000 good comments, right? And I used to really fixate on it. But after a while, I'm like, what am I doing by giving these people oxygen? Like, I don't know. There's different schools of thought about this. Some people say if someone gives you a negative comment, you can clap back at them and then it sparks this debate and it's actually good for your algorithm online. But then I'm like, I don't know. These people, they want to reply from me. They want me to feel bad. So that's literally their whole objective. Is pretty sad. So I'm just going to ignore it, and it's taken a long time to get to a point where I can read a negative comment and be like, oh, this guy's just a bell end. Continue scrolling. You've just got to, it's like, I suppose, live comedy clubs do prepare you for that in a way where like you have to learn to bomb. You have to learn to not do well on stage. You have to learn to stop fixating on the one face that isn't smiling when 300 people are pissing themselves. It's natural to be like, yeah, but I didn't get them. Why not? You could have the most amazing gig of your life, but why weren't they laughing though? God's sake, what's their problem? And you go, nah, man, you're missing the point. You can't get everyone. You just can't. That's crazy to think that you could. So, the impact that you guys are having with your podcast, that I might be having with my comedy, is a positive one, man, largely. And I think we're in this cool space where we get to have these cool conversations with cool people. It resonates with a lot of people, and we get to like build this community together. Any community of any sort is gonna have bellends creeping in somehow, I just ignore them, man. I just ignore them, or on occasion, for my own satisfaction, I'll clap back with some sort of silly reply. Like some guy commented on my recent video today, being like, "Don't give up your day job," and I was like, "Well, actually, comedy is my day job, so thank you." You know, it's like.
I like that. Yeah,
it's like, yeah, bruv. Yeah, you know what I mean? Without being, I'm not going to give you like any sort of anger. I don't feel anger like that. I'm just like, oh, what are you doing? Get out of here, man. Like, that's the
I
overarching
nibble
feeling.
way too much. I shouldn't, but
Yeah.
I enjoy the clap back. I'm sorry, man, I do. But there was one guy who wrote something stupid, and then I just commented back saying, "Why didn't you keep scrolling then, you donkey?" And then he reported me for bullying, and I was like, "Whoa, wait, hold on, what? How the fuck are you gonna reverse this on me? You did it first,
Bro.
Yeah.
If I'd known that you were such a bully, I wouldn't have accepted this podcast, bro. That's mad. That's mad, bro. I'm
so sorry.
How dare you? How dare you?
But yeah,
you?
it's crazy, man. And even in people in your own community as well, they kind of hate on you a little bit too much. You're like, okay, shit. Like the top rated comment for us is they need to have a license for podcasts, or this is why not everyone should have a podcast. I'm like, I see that all the time, and I'm like, wow, so original. So original.
And also,
cheers.
It's like, bro, just it's like what you said. Just keep scrolling, bro. Like, but if you're saying what you're saying, but you're the person who took time out of their day to be negative towards someone. So who's the loser? You know, it's quite clear.
Bang.
It's quite clear. So just
very clear.
You're right though, man. It's hard. It's hard, but don't worry, man. At some point, there's going to be so many comments that like you're going to have someone's job. You're going to be employing somebody. Yeah, you can't. And you're going to employ someone to just be like, yeah, just show me hide all the stupid ones, bro. Or you're not even going to care just because like all this traction. Do you know what I mean? Like you're doing something. You're actually doing something. These guys are not doing anything. So whatever, man.
It's true for sure.
Yeah.
What's it like with other brown comedians? Are they all quite collaborative / helpful to each other? My hope is they are, but we don't ever get to see anyone else beyond like their on-screen media persona. The realest one that I've seen personally is Guz Khan. I love the stuff that he does everywhere. He's super open. He's himself. He plays himself in his own TV show. Even on like little informal chats, he's just the same guy. And I'm thinking, there's no mask here. You're just being you.
Yeah. Guz for real, man. Like I've never met Guz. I mean, we follow each other and stuff, so we message on occasion. But we, I haven't met him. But like, obviously, he is, from what I can see, exactly like that, and from what I hear, exactly like that. You know, and the fact that he follows me, likes my stuff or whatever. It's like that's support. You know,
big time.
So. Support for somebody, a much smaller creator, a much newer person in the space, and there's plenty of support, man. It's like I say, like in every community, there's going to be people who are for you and people who are not, but a lot of the time you do get a lot of support, man, and there's just not many of us. So I think if you were too much of a prick, it would be called out too quickly. You know, because you'd be like, there's like 5 of us, bro. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, well, there's probably a bit more than that, but you know, you get the idea. You don't come across too many of us. So, largely it's all good. But like, the sad thing is that we don't cross paths that often because we just don't get booked on the same stuff because they only want one brown guy max, one brown lady max, you know.
Right.
So that it just doesn't happen, but like on the rare occasions that we do get to see each other, it's blessed, man. It's nice.
Sweet. That makes me happy. That makes me really warm inside, genuinely, because none of us ever see the ins and outs, but to know that it's like that is wholesome, to say the least. I do want to skip ahead a little bit. So how does it feel to be one half of the social media parade that took down Suella Braverman? By the time this comes out, it'll be old news. But you and Munya made 2 of the best skit videos I think I've seen, and I was like, yes.
Yeah. Oh, nice, man. Oh, I appreciate that, bro. Bro, if I could take 0.00001% credit for taking down Suella, oh man, that will make my day, bro. Yeah, you know what it is? I saw Munya's video. I thought it was amazing, and I was like, this guy's so lucky. He gets to take down Suella, you know. And I was like, hold on, I could do that too, you know. All right, it might not have might not have as much of a reach or whatever, but I could still do it. So yeah, let me just find my angle and find my way to do it as well, because it's so. Yeah, this needs to be said, man. Such a hateful person. So we need to like figure out a way to clap back. And yeah, man, it's just nice that the video's sort of taken off a bit and people have resonated with it, because, dude, there's just man. I mean, people talk about. I mean, I've got jokes about all of this stuff too, but you know, people talk about you should be proud of brown people in government. There's brown people in government now. I'm like, well, no, it doesn't cross my mind to be proud. They're awful people. They're not doing anything good for anybody. I don't care. I don't care if they're brown. It literally doesn't matter to me, man. Like, you know what I mean? In fact, it's the opposite. I'm ashamed. I wish it wasn't someone brown. Now I've got to be like, oh my God, people are associating you with me, you know?
You got to defend this shit now.
Yeah, so now, yeah, it's not even. I'm like, I'll pile on with it. I'll be like, yeah, man, I fuck all of those guys, man, that are doing silly things to our country. Nah, bro, I'm not on it. And that's what births something like the Suella video.
Do you remember way back in the day when there was that Singh who was a member of the BNP?
Yeah,
Sardar Singh.
Oh,
Sardar Singh. People. This is when me and you were like in our like late teens. Yeah, I remember it getting traction on Facebook when people used to use that garbage of a platform. People were like, vote for this guy, vote for this Singh, and I was like, okay, let me look at him. And it said BNP, and I'm like, what's the BNP? And then I asked my siblings because they're older. I said, what's the BNP? They said it's a racist party. I was like, why is Uncle going for the BNP? I don't get it. It confused the shit out of me. And that's when I learned the lesson. Look at the persons behind it with their values and shit. Don't look at the face.
Oh my God, big time. Bro, sometimes they make it nice and obvious to you. I don't know if you've seen this guy on Twitter. There's one guy, yeah? So I'm saying, I swear to God, bro, his bug
Arandy.
is I don't know his name. I
swear his name's Arandy. I know the guy you're on about. The Boris Johnson lover. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's got a Union Jack bug. I'm like, could there be any
I
more
gotta find him. Hang on. I think he blocked
stupidity?
me though. Hang on.
Is it?
I swear he blocked me.
It just cracks me up, man. It cracks me up so much every time I see it. I'm like, you're so lost, bro. Yeah.
Bro, I looked at his bug and I'm thinking, okay, I've got no problems with your bug, but you're sitting there talking. I remember the first time I heard him speak, and I was thinking, I did not pair this accent with you. I didn't think you would be talking in this way. I don't
think I've heard him speak. How does he speak?
I'm gonna ruin your day. I'm gonna find the clip after this. I sent it to my Jija, yeah. I'm gonna find the clip and I'm gonna send it to you, because I remember I sent it to him and he said, "This is one thing I didn't need to see today." So there you go. I'll send it to you as well.
Send it to me, bro. I don't know. It might spark some fury in me for another sketch. So
for sure. But yeah, man, he confuses me as well. I think each their own, isn't it? It's your life, but if you can't see that you're being used in a certain way for certain aspects, then it's your ignorance, I suppose.
Dude, yeah, it's mad.
When you were out with Munya and you were performing for him as an opening act, what was that like? Because I saw his set live and I remember I messaged you thinking you were going to be there and I missed you by one day, and I'm still a little bit gutted about that. But how was that, man? How was obviously going through that whole process, performing at a big venue of that size? I'm not sure if you have done a venue that size before either.
Dude, no, I haven't. That was my biggest venue so far. I think it was ballpark 2,500. I need to double check that, but I think it was about that. Bro, it was electric, man. It was unreal. Like, yeah, so Munya and I would run into each other at some gigs and we just got on. And one day he was doing a work in progress gig at the Comedy Store, which is like an incredible, prestigious venue. And he was like, "Hey, man, like I need another opener tonight. Do you wanna come through?" And I was like, "Bro, yes, definitely." And so I opened for him there, and we just had such a fun time, man. Me, Munya, and Joe McArdle, who's opener slash writer, who is incredible also. So we had a great time. And when these things happen, you're like, you just got to be grateful, and you can't expect anything else, right? I was like, yeah, bro, this has been amazing. Like, thank you so much. And yeah, then a couple of weeks later, when he was organizing his tour, he was like, yeah, bro, come and open for me on Saturday night in London. And I was like, dude, this is
Saturday
crazy.
night in London.
Wow.
That is insane.
I mean, unbelievable. Just like one of my favorite ever sets. And the thing is, as a comic, like, you obviously we live for the laughter, and in a room that size, when it's going well, it's going so well, like there's 2,500 people laughing. It's louder, it's longer, and it feels like such a blessing to be a part of that, man. Munya's really cool, man. We've just ended up becoming mates, and it's cool, man. It's cool to share a space with somebody like that, because I've been a fan of his for a long time. You know what I mean? He's been doing all these sketches since day dot, and weirdly, Munya and I, we went to the same uni at the same time, but he was a year above me. I remember him.
You've spoken about Sheffield.
Yeah, that's it. So like, I remember seeing him on campus. He had this mohawk and this like loud clothing, and we used to know him as the guy who's I think he was on university radio back then. So he was doing all these things. Google Glass was a thing back then. I don't know if you remember Google Glass. These glasses with a little screen on them.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Dude. And so they were new at the time. And when he graduated, he did it with Google Glass on as like part of like some sort of campaign. So yeah, like I had like a really rudimentary knowledge of who he was back then. So when he blew up, I was like, yo, this is the guy from uni, man. What? Like, this is mad. And cause he wasn't to my knowledge, he wasn't part of any of the comedy societies. Cause I was a part of those. I never saw him at any of those things. So, yeah. So then for us to cross paths all these years later like this, it's just super cool, man. Sometimes you just don't know what the universe is throwing at you. So yeah, really cool, man.
That's a really nice like moment, like a full circle moment where someone from uni, you didn't think much of it, and then later on down the line, your careers just come into this little like part in the road
intersection,
and you're thinking, whoa, that's weird. It's just come together now. And then you kind of question and think, if I got to know you at uni, do you reckon it still would have worked out in this way now, or did it kind of have to go down this pathway for both of us to come back and like meet at this point and then get to know each other now? I think about things like that all the time with people I'm friends with, and I know it's super sad.
Oh my God.
I'm sure you must think for you, especially with an opportunity that big. Same thing.
No, I think about those things all the time as well. Like a year ago or so, it was my best friend's wedding, and I got a call a couple of days before it from my agent being like, hey, Munya needs an opener at the Comedy Store. That's when he was just starting his work in progress shows.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my God, like, when is it? And they were like, it's this date. And I was like, oh, dude, that's my best mate's wedding. There's no way I can't go to that. Like, I'm definitely going to my best mate's wedding. Is there any other date I can do? They're like, no, sorry, that's the only one. But, hopefully something happens or whatever. I remember Jazz, my wife saying to me, don't worry about it. If it's meant to be, something will happen. And then, a year down the road, all of this did happen. And you go, yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe Babaji wanted us to meet at some point,
I think it's that, and also wives just have this knack of saying the right thing to us to make us think, you know what, maybe you're right. And I'm not a big believer in this universe stuff or like manifestation. I think it's a load of shit. But when things like this happen, I think maybe there's a little something there that's going on. Maybe.
Yeah, totally, man. Well, it's nice. It's nice to have those moments. Regardless, once you put the facts together, you're like, this is nice. This is nice the way this has happened, and I'm glad that it has.
When you make your sketches online for little things like Suella, David Cameron, etc., do you film, shoot, edit, cut it up, put it together out yourself?
Yep. I do everything myself. The exception was actually the Suella video where I got Jazz to film for me because she was working from home that day, and I was actually driving to Manchester for a gig, but I was like, yo, I've got to go in a sec, but you've got to, can you just like handheld style film this for me? Here's an example of what I want. So just if you could just do that, that would be great. And so we just quickly, I'd scripted it the night before because I had the idea really late at night the night before. And so I was like, listen, if you could just do this, that would help me out massively. I don't have to set up the tripod and all that. But other than that, man, I literally top to bottom do it myself. I edit it myself. I script it myself, put it out myself, all of that. So this is the thing. To be a comedian, you have to have this like varied skill set. You've got to be a comedian, but you've also got to be a keen driver because you've got to be driving around the country for gigs. You've also got to be an editor. You've got to be in marketing. You've got to be a social media guy. Like it's a lot of stuff. It's a lot of plates to spin, but when it comes together, you're like, dude, this is so worth it. Like to create something I'm proud of. It's always worth it.
No, I can imagine because even with the pod and setting it up now, I understand technical things like mics, cameras, lights, editing, Final Cut Pro, moving to Premiere Pro, After Effects, getting reels made, how to get it made to the right dimension so it's not cutting off at the edges. What's the separate areas you have to make sure you stay within the parameters? What's the hook? And you're thinking, if you said all this lingo to me about 3 years ago, I'd look at you like, what the fuck are you on about? Like, who are you? But now you just pick it up over time. The more you do it, the better you become at it. And then gradually things start clicking. So it is a massive grind. And I feel you with that, especially when you are literally driving 2 places. And then you're obviously tired from driving. You get into the venue and you're thinking, oh, I've got to amp myself up now to go and do a good set, regardless of how shit the weather was and the traffic I just encountered. And someone nearly cutting me off on the flipping A406. Yeah, I have to go along with this now. So what's some fucker on the A406 as well? Yeah, but
always.
You have to head into the venue and be this different guy now. Yeah, we do. We know exactly who they are,
dude. Yeah. This is sometimes some of my non-comedy friends ask me this. They're like, you have a bad day, then what happens? You're like, well, not comedy happens. You have to do it anyway. You have to put it to the side. It's one of the challenges, man. Like there's a lot of sacrifice, particularly at the beginning as well. When you're doing all these bringer nights, you have to bring people. You have to do it so much. You have to do it night after night after night. So there's a lot that you have to put in to doing this. But then I think, there's a lot that you have to put into doing anything, any pursuit, man. Like, I'm sure you guys with this podcast, you've had to give up probably a lot of stuff and just focus a lot of your time into doing the pod. I mean, it helps that there's both of you working on it together. So you can you have shoulders to lean on, you can split workloads and such, but still it's not an easy thing to get a podcast up and running, especially one that's also a visual platform. You got to make reels and man, it's a very similar thing with comedy. There's live work. There's reels online, but then there's like longer form stuff. I want to make a web series, but I'm also, I've written a sitcom. So I'm trying to develop that. And so you're working on several things, hoping that something does well, because something does well, then it all, everyone's on the same team when it comes to reels and live work and scripted work. You're the brand. So you're doing something good for yourself. Everything does well. So you've got to be taking those shots. It's like buying a lottery ticket. Every time you do a reel, right? Every time you do any of these things, every time you put out a podcast, hey man, this could be the thing that takes me to the next level. This could be the thing where I figure something out. And it's not just about massive success or virality or anything, but it's about the learning process too, and the iterative process of making something better every time. So anything like that, it doesn't matter if it's comedy, a podcast, being a doctor, being an accountant. If you want to do this to the best of your ability, it's going to take a lot. But as long as you've got to choose your struggle in life. Do you want to be someone who's, content with life, but not so content with work and trying to strike a balance? Or are you somebody who wants to really, really excel at what you're doing, but then, be willing to make that sacrifice? So it's yeah, you just got to choose what you want to do. For me, comedy, I love it so much, man. I'm just like, how far can we go with this, you know? And especially as a Sardar, like, you know, I want to be able to represent for us. I mean, it is ultimately, I'm not going to pretend like I'm doing anybody, I'm not doing seva by being a comedian, but this is for me.
Yeah.
This is for me, but it's cool. It's a cool space to be in, and it's you know, our voice is one that's seldom heard right now. So it's cool to be in a space where I can amplify it a little bit in my own way. I don't claim to speak for anybody, but anything that, you know, I do my best, and if that reflects on us well, that is my hope. And I hope that that's coming across, and I'm lucky to be able to do it, I think. So yeah,
I think it's coming across well in this interview, man. People can tell that you're genuine, on point. There's no real ulterior motive. It's just trying to get better at your craft, which is really honorable, honestly, because there are people in the world that are just trying to use their own audience for the wrong reasons, or just to get places quickly and then just be in it for themselves. But I don't get that sense when I've spoken to you. This is the first time that we've obviously spoken properly in person. I don't get that out of you at all. I just get like a genuine guy who enjoyed Sikh Soc a little bit and somehow managed to land himself a presidency.
Big time, man.
Yeah,
I needed to fix up that CV, man. You saw what happened with my A levels. I needed stuff on there.
For sure. So, you have to add things onto the bottom, like what did you do at university? Head of external affairs over here, you know, like
head of external affairs, bro. Right? Exactly, man. Exactly. Another bullet point. Ask me details about it in the interview. You know, I'm not going to say what it is, bruv.
Yeah, exactly.
Just depending on the job I'm going for, ask me the details.
I will make it fit towards the job, man. We have all been there. I mean, I wrote on my CV that I was the Bhangra captain of our team. I wasn't. And then I asked my other mates in the team, have you done this? So like, listen, all of us wrote that we're captains because it shows leadership. You have to write and lie about it. Like,
yeah. See? Of course. Of course.
We've all done it.
Yeah, man. You just got to be smart. Take those wins. I would love to be part of that phone call where an employer phones up like, hey, is this Queen Mary, Sikh Society? We're just making sure that Indy was, in fact, captain of the Bhangra Society in 2011. Is that correct?
2012, actually. Imagine that.
2012, bro. You know what I mean?
Oh, imagine that. What's the end goal for you as being a comedian then? Do you have a preference to wanting to do actual sitcoms, or just doing your own set for like an hour on tour? Do you have like one goal that you want to hit that is the thing you look towards every single time you go on stage?
Oh, dude, I'm greedy. I want it all, man. I want it all. I want the Netflix special. I want the sitcom. I want the tour. I want the international festivals. You know, once upon a time it was all a pipe dream, and as time's gone on, I've been like, you know, I didn't really expect myself to get this far, but it's happened, so it's possible, you know? So why not aim big? Because, you know, ultimately it's the pursuit that I enjoy the most. With anything, once you've got like a credit on your CV, you're like, this is amazing, this is great, but now I'm like looking for like, how can I push the form further? So yeah, man, I would love to have all of that stuff. Yeah, it would be really, really cool. So yeah, watch this space.
Dream big, man. That's the way to do it. But I know you've been to Fringe because I owe this to my brother, really. He's the one that introduced me to you. He went to Fringe obviously for like a week. He goes every year, the sad little guy. He'll beat me up after
legend, you mean?
But anyway, that can way down. Sounds like
a good guy to me.
Exactly. So he told me about yourself, and he told me about Fringe, and I don't think people who aren't into comedy understand what Fringe is. I'm into comedy and I still don't understand the significance. So could you just explain to people why there's such a big opportunity there, but also how hard it is to set yourself up and to go there and physically be there for X amount of time?
Yeah, dude. So the Edinburgh Fringe Festival is like, to my knowledge, the largest performance arts festival in the world. So you've got sort of around circa 20,000 performers that come to Edinburgh every August for that entire month. They bring their shows to the city and they put on their show for the whole month. And historically, you'd want to do this. It would be in your favor to do this because it might be a way of getting spotted by the industry. Increasingly, it's more difficult to do that, especially as mediums change. People are looking more at social media now, for example. But that doesn't mean that people still don't get discovered at places like the Fringe. So it's about demonstrating your work. It's sort of like seen as this place where you go and you go, yeah, I've written an hour. Here's the hour. Everybody, producers, reviewers, you guys come check this out. This is the product I'm selling. And so you're hoping to have a good run, a successful run. People come and see you. They like you. They give you opportunities. They give you good reviews, and then it propels your career. So this is the major selling point professionally, other than just showcasing what you do. But also, it's a great opportunity because there's performers from all around the world, man, that come to this festival. So you're getting a chance to network, to meet people, to see things, to see shows. It's not just comedy, it's theater, drama, musicals, improv, so much performance goes on over there for the whole month. So it's your chance to be a part of this performers bubble for a month and really hone in on what you do. And so I took a work in progress show up because I was like, I need to make this show better. So I'm going to give myself an hour a day every single day. Well, 45 minutes a day every single day to really kick this show into shape. And that was my objective. The reason it's very, very difficult is because when you're moving to Edinburgh for a month, you still got all your costs at home. It doesn't mean you don't have to pay rent at home, but now you've got to live somewhere else for a month. And because it's so popular, as supply and demand works. See, I did pay attention in economics. The price for things like accommodation and such just skyrocket. So you have to pay all of those costs of hiring a venue. If you're doing one of the bigger venues, there is a free festival option where you do still pay, but you pay a lot significantly less. You got to pay accommodation. You got to pay for food. You got to pay for advertising. You got to pay, physical posters, online advertising. You've got to do, put food in your mouth 3 times a day. It's a very, very expensive endeavor, and you've got to figure out if the potential return is worth it, because not a lot of us have the capital to sustainably do this. And historically, there have been, a bunch of artists who have given it a big go, and they've just left bankrupt, And so it's a real balancing act in terms of how to do this and how to approach it. I'm very lucky that one of, my best friend, he has family in Edinburgh, so I can just stay with them. I don't have to pay for accommodation. So that's a big cost gone for me. And then I did the free festival this year, and I've got a good mate who's a graphic designer, so he designed my poster, so I don't have to pay for that. So there was ways I used to scrimp and save to make it work for me. And yeah, it was just massively important to me to have those things, because otherwise it's just not feasible financially, especially at this stage of my career. So so I sort of did everything I could to take this work in progress show up. And yeah, I worked hard with it, and I got, I had bits of luck and alignment, and I, was very happy to get a 5-star review from Rolling Stone. It was so cool, man. So cool. Real bucket list thing for me. So, it's, a lot of the time you got to pay for PR. You got to pay for these people, newspapers and publications to come to your show. So even the fact that they came was so lucky. But yeah, like a Fringe can cost somebody 20-30 grand just for a month. So, for me, I couldn't even afford 10% of that. No, I don't have an extra 3 grand to throw somewhere.
30 grand for the month. That's extortionate.
Yeah, and which is why there's there is a sort of a class issue in comedy where that's that is obviously, it's not accessible to so many people. I wouldn't say I'd say my parent growing up, my parents transitioned from working class to middle class is how I feel about my upbringing, you know? And so I wouldn't say I've had a deprived upbringing in any way, but I still could not afford anything remotely close to that. So, you know, people, they want to make it work. So they do what they can. And, this is the sort of balancing act that you've got to try and perfect for the Fringe, because there's so much to gain, but you've got to make sure you don't lose out as well.
I remember speaking to Silk Aujala in the past about this, and we asked her how come she hadn't been to Fringe, and she said she simply couldn't afford it. So it's always interesting to know how you were able to go, but obviously explaining your circumstances of obviously accommodation pretty covered, graphic design covered, but also you went to the freer side of it, which means you don't have to secure a venue for, I'm assuming there's venue costs that are secured each night. You've got to stump up. Is that correct?
Yeah. Exactly. The more prestigious venues cost more money. So yes, you have to do that if you want to go to one of those bigger venues, which I do eventually want to do when I debut, because debuting is like a big thing in Edinburgh. When you do your first 60-minute show, you know, you will be sort of assessed in a sense on that. So I would like that to be in a bigger venue, but like, you know, again, when I can afford it, and when, you know, maybe, I don't know, I might have a producer helping me with the costs. I might have, you know, when I'm in a position where I can do this, I will, but I'm certainly not going to try and put that money forward for the sake of debuting, because at this point I'm like, you know, I'm also in a fortunate position where I'm signed to a great agency. I currently do have conversations with producers. I was lucky enough to get that review from Rolling Stone. So, you know, these things are possible without going down that particular road. So I will go, but at the right time for me.
Sweet. And hopefully when you do, shout us and we'll happily shout about it as well, man.
Big ups, bro. Yeah, definitely, man. Yeah, your brother was sick, man. Yeah, it was really nice to see him. You know, when you see a Singh, you're like, the first time, you're like, oh, Singh, come, this is really nice. Then the second day you see him, you go, that's my guy. I know him now. You know what I mean? It's just nice. Give him a juppy. It feels really good. Yeah,
especially in Edinburgh as well. Like, yeah, it's very, very rare to have that around there. So, yeah, it's always nice in a area so cool. That's not dominated by opera.
For sure, man. It was really nice. It was just, yeah, your brother was cool, man. Tell him I said hello.
I will do. I'm conscious of time, so we round out our show with quickfire questions. So, okay, for you, my brother, you say you're from Wembley. Well, we're going to find out how much about Wembley you actually know.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, man. Let's go.
Question 1. How tall is the arch above Wembley Stadium?
How tall is the arch above Wembley Stadium? The arch is 62 meters high, obviously.
133 meters, bro.
You didn't let me finish. I said 62 times 2 plus 9. That was going to be my final answer. So oh my god. Sure. I was thinking over 100 and then I thought, nah, that's crazy. It can't be over 100. Damn. Okay, fine. All right. 1-0 to you.
It's not 1-0 to me. It's your bestie, ain't mine. Ain't my city.
You're doing it, bruv. You're doing my bestie. It's 1-0 to you. I'll never forget this, Indy.
Oh man. What's the nickname of Wembley?
What? What is the nickname of Wembley?
Yeah, bro.
Are people calling us names behind our back? That's not very nice. Wembley. Wembley is Wembley, bro. There's no. You're gonna say something like, I don't know, Little India or something.
That's exactly the answer. Well done, Little India.
Yeah.
I'm not kidding. That's the answer.
I knew it. Bro, this applies to Southall
of Wembley
Slough.
Central. Yes. Yeah. What percentage of Wembley Central is brown or Asian? I'll give you like a 10% leeway of percentage here.
Okay, what percentage of it is brown? Do you mean like as in Desi, or are we talking about like, you know, African countries as well? And okay,
brown Asian.
Okay, brown Asian. I'm I'm gonna say 66%. What?
No.
Oh man, you had me on the ropes there, bro.
46%, man.
46%. Okay. All right. Some people have moved out still.
The follow-up of that, what percentage of Wembley Central is white?
4%.
Ooh,
No.
Close.
Yeah.
5%.
5%. Yeah. Wow. Yes.
I'll give you that.
Yeah, man. I'm proud of myself for that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
You should be. Where does the 182 bus take you?
Golders Green. Brent Cross.
I mean, yeah, it kind of does. Where's the end terminus in both ways?
The 182. I should know this, man. I should know this. This is bad. I want to say 182. Nah, bro. Nah, I would have said Golders Green. So if that's wrong, then I don't know, man.
It says Brent Cross Shopping Centre or
I said Brent Cross.
Plainfields. Did you? I didn't hear Brent Cross.
Okay, I said Golders Green. I said Brent Cross. Yes. Wicked.
Hang on, is Golders Green near Brent Cross?
No, I don't think so. No, but other way.
Oh, so you got half the answer right. Okay,
Yeah, exactly.
Which song do you prefer? Mundian Toh Bachke or Crazy Frog?
It's the same song, isn't it?
Fuck's sake.
Mundian Toh Bachke, come on. Although honourable mention to Crazy Frog.
Man. I fucking hate that song, but that's just me.
That's funny. You hate it. You hate it. Right. It's played too much.
I can't stand it. Yes.
What? Just from the beginning? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
Last question. Ready?
Let's go.
How do you do an Irish accent?
Hell, well, I just listen to someone Irish and then do my best to copy them because that's the best way to do an accent. That's it. At school,
it's very tempting to go Jamaican.
To go Jamaican? What, from Irish?
It's very tempting. When you go from Irish, it's so close. You could easily go in that direction without realizing it.
Yeah, a lot of accents have similar sounds. Yeah, man. Yeah, but they just have more dominating. That's why Australians are good at both an English accent and an American accent because they're somewhere in the middle. Yeah. Man, I don't know. Accents. I've just grown up doing accents for whatever reason. I just found it fun. So yeah, dude, it's just fun. Just listen to someone and copy them, and then once it's good enough, then trial it in public, and then people will tell you how good or bad it is. This is on you, by the way. Disclaimer.
Thank you. Yeah, big disclaimer to give there. I actually really enjoy doing impressions of people. I just don't do them publicly. I do them to my wife, and she's like, "You're really good." I'm like, "That's nice, but I'm not going to do this publicly. I'll do it one-to-one in the comfort of our home, but it ain't going to be on the doctor." Or sometimes coax it out of me on a podcast. I'm like, "All right, I'll do this bit," and then people will message saying that was shit, and I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'm not trying that again." So.
Okay, well, definitely when we officially wrap this up, you got to do a couple for me.
Happily. We're actually going to just wrap it up now. Bro, can you please tell people where to find you online, where to find your tour and your dates and your upcoming gigs?
Yes. So follow me on Instagram at daman.bamrah or daman.bamrah, whatever your philosophical stance on that is, daman.bamrah. Or you can find me at damanbamrah.com. That has all my details of everything, all of my upcoming dates, all of my further bits of social media, YouTube clips, things like that. So yeah, those two are the main bits. Do that and we will become best friends. So let's do that.
Good. I love it. People, Daman, first of all, thank you very much for joining. You've been a great guest. We will definitely do this again, hopefully in person. I'm going to try and come and see you as well prior to the year being out. Me and the wife will try and come. I know you've got a gig coming up in Bethnal Green, so I will try and come to that as well. Because that's local-ish.
Wicked. Oh, yeah. Nice. Amazing. Okay. Sorted. Wicked, man. Thank you so much for having me, man. This has been wicked. Love what you guys are doing.
Anytime, man. Anytime. Cheers, bro. People, we will catch you next week. Please like the video and drop Daman a message. In a bit. Thank you guys for watching. Check out the rest of our episodes here and don't forget to subscribe here. We'll see you guys on the next one.